The decline of the most powerful nationalist party in the Republic of China, Mao Zedong, the founder of the Republic of China. The movie starts when Mao Zedong, a member of the CPC, Communist Party of China, pays a visit to Chiang Kai-shek, the chairman of KMT, the Nationalist Party of China, in Chongqing. The meeting aims for CPC and KMT to join hands and establish peace in the democratic nation of China. The scene then shifts to KMT headquarters, where officers discuss the difficulty of moving the capital to Nanjing due to the CPC's troops' presence in the northeast. The KMT troops are far away, and the US has promised to help move them to the northeast, North China, East China, and south of the Yangtze River. General Du is then tasked with managing the situation in the northeast. Later, members of the CPC appreciated Mao's efforts to ally with the KMT, as it would pave the way for establishing peace and democracy in China. Mao admits that his army has surrounded the northeast, making it difficult for KMT to shift the capital to Nanjing. However, if he had sent the troops away, that would have shown how weak his party was. Mao thinks that the KMT joined hands with the CPC after observing its military strength. The KMT would never have become their ally if they didn't have weapons and power. An old member suggests that if Mao can't remove his troops from the northeast, he should stop thinking about peace, as this would trigger KMT to start a civil war. Mao is confident about his decision not to remove the troops from the northeast. However, to create a coalition government, Mao agreed to give up 8 liberated regions in the Yangtze River, which pleased Mr. Chiang. Finally, on October 10, 1945, KMT and CPC signed the Double Tenth Agreement, a treaty between CPC and KMT to work harmoniously and establish democracy in China. The United States accepts the party's unification, as this will end the KMT's dictatorship. After a year, in January, the first political consultative assembly conference was held by Chiang, aiming at political reforms in China. A KMT member suggests to Chiang that by allying with CPC, KMT will have to give up 8 seats in the Senate, and this will ultimately loosen the control of KMT. Chiang's son, Qingque, adds that other parties have refused to give up their seats to CPC, and KMT should do the same. The next month, many civilians were unexpectedly attacked by KMT soldiers of KMT, indicating the beginning of the civil war. The nationalist government relocated to Nanjing, making it the capital. In June 1946, Chiang revealed his plans to ally with all other parties and forget the CPC. Once KMT joins hands with other parties, they will persuade and attack the CPC to surrender and remove all its troops. Eventually, KMT went against the Double Tenth Agreement of harmony between CPC and KMT by initiating a civil war. Later, the vice president wants to visit Chiang, but he disappears from his office. The VP does not favor civil war as it will soon make their party lose its strength. However, the chairman doesn't consider his opinions important, so he has disappeared. In October, at the Zhangjiago battlefront, CPC's troops were disappointed in Mao as the civil war would soon destroy the CPC. In 1947, March marked the beginning of the first air drone attack from the KMT on Yan'an, which killed many innocent civilians. The civil war continued, however, Mao never gave up his efforts to make a unified government in China once again. The CPC members then decide not to attend the National Party Congress, NPC, which will indicate that the CPC is no longer an ally of KMT. The CPC's members and its people face a miserable time lacking basic resources like food and clothing. Mao, in a meeting, informs his teammates about his strategy to fight against the KMT. He tells them that his members in Leh and Bishi, along with him, will form a front committee and stay in Shanbei. Other members will form a central working committee and cross the Yellow River in North China. This way, the CPC will fight with the KMT from 2 different directions. If one committee is destroyed, the second survives to fight. KMT then seized all of CDL's headquarters, which annoyed the CDL as KMT once again misused its powers. Later, CPC's members met the CDL's members, and CDL informed them that they would reopen their headquarters in Hong Kong. The chairman, Zhang Lan, suggests that CPC's members go to Hong Kong and join CDL's movement against KMT. From July 1947 onwards, the People's Liberation Army started liberating China by changing its strategy from defense to offense into regions under KMT's rule, which resulted in the CPC moving to Hebei in 1948. In the National Assembly of 1948, the results of the first presidential election of the Republic of China were announced, and Chiang Kai-shek was elected as the first president of China. On Labor Day, the CPC announced its decision for a unified government instead of a civil war on Xinhua radio broadcasts. Later, Li Zhongren was elected as the VP, a known rival of Chiang within the party. In May, Chiang exiled the commander-in-chief of North China, Fu Zihui, to Beiping with his daughter. Then, Chiang learns about Mao's location through a secret agent, and he plans to kill him. He sends many planes to Hebei, and Mao's loyal cook immediately takes Mao to a safer location. On the way, they encounter many drone attacks, but Mao survives them all. However, his loyal cook dies in the attack. It is revealed that the secret agent through which Chiang came to know about Mao's location was a member of the CPC, who betrayed Mao, and he was executed for being a traitor. After the attack on Mao, CPC moves towards Zibeipo, and Mao receives a telegram from which he comes to know that other parties have decided to ally with CPC. He realizes his announcement for a unified government on Labor Day has finally brought some fruit, and soon, Chiang will be isolated. Mao plans to form a new CPPCC, Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference, to diminish the rule of the KMT. Mao then wrote to the chairman of the Revolutionary Committee of KMT, Li Jishan, to join hands with the CPC. However, Li Jishan was reluctant to do so as the KMT had been breaking the agreements it had signed, and he feared the same from the CPC despite its credibility. Li Jishan's colleague tries to convince him to at least show his opposition to Chiang against one-party autocracy. This way, they are not allying with the CPC, but their disagreement with KMT's moves will also be indicated. Now, Mao plans to write a letter to Feng Yuxiang, a powerful military leader dominating many parts of North China. On the other hand, Chiang is informed by Tsinghua that KMT is running out of resources, and the commodities are entering the black market. They are facing a huge loss, and he suggests to Chiang that KMT should stabilize the market in Shanghai, as it is the financial center in the Far East. For this purpose, Tsinghua leaves for Shanghai and reaches the Bank of Communications. Meanwhile, all other parties support Mao's decision to form a new CPPCC. Tsinghua, in his office, informs the news reporters that the country is facing a crisis, and KMT plans on implementing financial reforms. Tsinghua announces his plan to stabilize the prices in the shortest time possible to save the country. Suddenly, he is interrupted by a Chinese mob boss, Mr. Du Yusheng, who informs Qing about the hoarding of supplies and their sale to the black market for profit. Mr. Du then reveals to him that it's the Yangtze Company, owned by Kungs, who are openly defying the law, and he suggests Qing look into this matter. Mao is then informed that KMT's agents have killed Feng, and it is the first time Mao and his team members are seen disappointed, as Feng was their last hope against KMT. They are surprised that Feng, who became a soldier at 12, has been to battlefields for 50 years and didn't die, but shortly after the CPC sent him an invitation for a meeting, he died immediately. Then, Qing orders his people to search for the people of the Yangtze Company, and their operation to stop them will start tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Later, Li Jishan is informed that the U.S. will support his replacement of Mr. Chiang as the president, but Li Jishan considers it unrealistic. It is because if he replaces Chiang, who is from the same party as he is, there will be no changes in the government in particular. This will ignore the CPC's agenda to form a unified government. Then he is asked, what if Vice President replaces Chiang, and Li Jishan replies that VP Li Zhongren and Bai Chongxi, a strong military officer, are a great match against Chiang. Now the CPC is planning to initiate the Battle of Jinzhou against the KMT, and if they win, they can continue winning the next battles, which will weaken the KMT. Mao then decides to invite Zhang Lan, the chairman of CDL, to the north and meet him whenever he wants, as he is sick. Finally, Qing gets to know the identity of the person running the Yangtze Company, and surprisingly, it is his own cousin David. Qing persuades him to stop selling the commodities to the black market. The country is at war and the currency has been depreciated, but David only cares about his illegal business. Chiang then goes to Shanghai to meet his son, and inform him they will ask America for funds. Qing suggests to his father they should fight his cousin, David, who is running an unlawful business, but Chiang tells him that the corruption is at the roots of KMT, and David is not the only problem. Corruption is a vast problem and can't be removed just by killing David. Then Chiang tells Qing his plan to move troops up north to the south of the Yangtze River to ensure the safety there. On the other hand, Mao is informed that Zhang Lan is sick and can't come to the meeting, so he postpones the meeting to next year in Beiping, which is not a cold region for an old man like Zhang. For this, Mao suggests liberating Beiping peacefully. One of his team members suggests that a woman named Dongju, the daughter of Fuzhui, can help them accomplish this task. Her father is commanding 600,000 men, and they can be used for the CPC's mission to Beiping. Mao then orders the North Field Army to enter the Shanhai Pass in 7 days. It is tough for the troops to move to Shanhai Pass with a deadline of 7 days, but they finally make it to the Shanhai Pass. Li Jishan is then informed by a messenger from the vice president that he plans to ally with the CPC through Li Jishan. The VP says that any condition that comes in the way of this alliance will be fulfilled, even if it is the partition of Yangtze. This surprises Li Jishan as he doesn't want China to split up. He tells the messenger to inform the VP that it is absurd to even think of splitting up China just to ally with the CPC. Unfortunately, Sung, who went to America asking for funds, was informed by the Secretary of State that they couldn't assist them financially anymore as China was busy spending all the money on wars. Due to the economic crisis, President Chiang informs his people that if someone wants him to resign, he won't hesitate. Li Jishan is then informed that Mao still waits for him to join his side against the KMT. Later, CPC's troops reach Beiping with the help of Dongju, and Mao is informed of 2 pieces of good news. One is that Li Jishan, Xin Yanbing, and Zhang Nike have allied with the CPC, and the other is that Chiang has resigned. Mao is happy about the first news but disappointed when he hears the news of Chiang's resignation. Eventually, CPC members realize that the resignation of Chiang was just a stunt to put Li Zongren at a hard time. Li Zongren is now the acting president, but Chiang is still the chairman of KMT, making it difficult for Li to negotiate with the CPC. Then Mao gets the news that his troops have made a decisive victory in the Huaihai campaign. 550,500 enemies have been killed, and now Mao declares that there will be no more fighting north of the Yangtze as the CPC has cleared 5 divisions already. They all finally sigh in relief and celebrate their victory while drinking. Chiang then asks Fu Zihui to help him attack the CPC, but Fu Zihui facilitates the peaceful liberation of Beiping by allying with the CPC. Now CPC is moving to Yangtze and Nanjing, and Li Zongren goes to Chiang's wife, Sung's residence in Shanghai, asking for help. Sung is an old ally of Mao, and Li informs her that he wants to ally with the CPC, but Mao raises 8 difficult conditions he doesn't want to fulfill. He is only the acting president, and Chiang is still the chairman of the KMT, making Li's existence more like a puppet. He seeks Sung's help to make the CPC give up its conditions, but she refuses to help. A messenger from the acting president visits Zhang Lan to ask the CPC to give up its harsh conditions, but Zhang Lan tells him that in the past, KMT didn't miss any chance to destroy the CDL, and now the CDL is with the CPC. When Chiang learns that Zhang Lan has partnered with the CPC, he plans to assassinate him. The KMT secret agents kill 13 pro-democracy activists in Shanghai to weaken the CPC. Luckily, the deputy chief, Yan Jinwen, assigned to assassinate Zhang Lan, has already allied with the CPC, and he saves Zhang Lan by taking him to North China. Later, Mao plans to invite all the capitalists and businessmen to work for the country's economy. CPC then moved to Beiping in 1949, where all other parties of China and the army accepted Mao's leadership. The KMT was finally on the verge of losing its power when it learned that the CPC would begin its Yangtze campaign soon. In April 1949, Nanjing government refused to sign the truce and peace negotiations broke. After the success of the CPC in the Yangtze campaign, PLA, People's Liberation Army, occupied the president's office in Nanjing. Then the PLA liberated Shanghai in May, and in this situation, John Leighton Stewart, a U.S. ambassador to China, left China in vain. Mao finally meets Zhang Lan and Li Jishan and offers them both to be the vice presidents. Zhang Lan immediately agrees while Li Jishan is embarrassed to become the VP as, in the past, his army killed many members of the CPC. Mao tells him that it is all past, and then they both shake hands while Li Jishan promises to work his best for China. The USSR also accepted China for creating its new unified government. Sung also joined CPC, and then CPC designed the five-star flag and national anthem for China. The national anthem lyrics were not changed and were kept as originally written. The new CPPCC was formed, and Mao delivered a passionate speech at the first plenary session of the CPPCC, joined by 576 delegates from all parties of China. China's name, the People's Republic of China, was decided, and Beiping's name was changed to Beijing as the new capital. The session elected Mao Zedong as the president and his vice-chairpersons. Chiang, preparing to attack Beijing, is informed that the planes are ready to bombard any time. However, the US has turned down their request to refuel in Pusan, which means the planes won't return after taking off. Chiang gives up his idea to attack, realizing that KMT has been ruined by his own hands. On October 1, 1949, the flag ceremony of the People's Republic of China took place, and since then, it has been celebrated as the National Day of China.